Hi, Nikki Cruz from Awards Radar. How's it going, Ike?
Nikki, how are you?
I'm doing good, but how are you? You had quite the season between Running Point and the studio.
It's great, Running Point. I wrote that with my partner Dave and our love Mindy, and we were so excited for people to see it, and then it came out and was a pretty big hit, so we were thrilled. And then yeah, now I get to do this other thing, and the great thing about the studio is I'm only an actor on it, so you can't get mad at me for any of the dialogue or the direction, and you can't get mad at me for any of the acting on Running Point. So I'm kind of in the clear, I feel like.
You're safe. You're completely safe.
Um,
And for the studio, I mean, it's one of my favorite comedies of the season. It's the funniest show. I cannot believe what you all allowed to say about the industry. To be perfectly honest with you.
it was pretty wild. First of all, thank you. It's so nice to hear. Yeah, I really I know that it is satire, and I know that it does go there and really, is unsparing. But I really do look at it as a real love letter. You know what I mean? Like, these guys love this town, even though they've been through the ringer and they've dealt with the bullshit and they've had ups and downs. Um, they love this business, and I really do think, if yeah, I do too, and so that's why I was just thrilled to be part of this, I think you feel that when you watch it, that this is coming from a real place of exalting.
It definitely is a real love letter. I mean, it really feels authentic and fresh and examines art versus commerce in such a real way.
Yeah, they understand it. You know what I mean? They understand that, like, executives, even when they have bad ideas, like, they're just trying to do right by not just the director, but their boss and the board and the marketing person, and they're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. It's a really tough job. And I think that's why the people who are good at it are worshipped, and the people who are bad at it, even when they're mocked, it's like a respectful mocked.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you can find someone who does understand that balance of money versus art, that's very important.
And then it also really goes into how studios just want to make IP films on top of AI being on the rise and execs dealing with a shifting cancel culture. I
Mhm.
was wondering, these are obviously not secrets to everyone. Like, everyone is talking about these topics now in the industry. But as a writer yourself, is that something that you're actively thinking as you're navigating your own journey?
I definitely don't think about AI, and I hope I never do. I hate it. I think it is our coffin, and I won't contribute to it in any way. Um, in terms of, like, the cancel culture, I do think that it's a fun thing to kind of talk about, satirize, but it's not something I worry about. It's not something where, in my writing, I've never been like, God damn it, 6 years ago I could say this joke, now I can't. You know what I mean? I think, quite frankly, a lot of people who do that, I think it's weak. I think it's, you're just you instead of writing a newer, better joke, you're just kind of hung up on the past. I also think for many years this has been happening. Like, in the 80s, I'm sure there were people who were like, "Oh man, you can't say this." Well, like, you could in 1965, and in 1965 they were like, "You can't say what you did in 1940." So that's not anything I worry about. And in terms of IP too, it's like, you know, I'm sure that if I was just a writer and that was kind of how I made my living, and I wasn't an actor, and I was really more entrenched in that side of it, I'm sure the IP thing would come up, because that is 100% a reality, where studio execs they loving synergy and saying, well, we own this IP, and let's just put everyone together and make it. So I don't, like, worry about those, but I do think they are all very, very ripe for satire. I think they're very ripe for kind of having fun with, which I think is healthy.
And on the acting side of things, you've worked with Seth over the years, and it really does come through on screen, especially with this unique partnership that these characters have. Like there's a comfortability, there's a natural comedic rhythm, and I just think it's delightful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think part of the reason Seth cast me in this is because we know each other and have worked together so long that in a scene, like in one of the first scenes we were doing, like I'm trying to walk him, like I'm like, ah, can come talk to this director for a second, and he's like, I'm gonna go have drinks with Chris Hemsworth, and just Seth just like get off me and just shoves me so hard, and again I just start laughing, because there's like a trust there where we can get comfortable and intimate, and I can grab him and say no. And what I love about this specific relationship between Matt and Sal, in that pilot, you see Sal for a second when he's saying, Patty's gone, she's fired. I think I'm going to get the job. It's mine. He finds out it's not. I think there's a different version that he's like, oh, you got it, Matt, but then he's secretly trying to undermine him the whole time. But I think they rightly knew that it would be more interesting and realistic if instead of me kind of trying to undermine him and usurp him, the minute I don't get that job, I'm like, what do you need, boss? Because I like this job. Even if I'm not the boss, I like this job. I like my parking space. I don't want to move to the Pacific Northwest and work with my cousin. I want to stay in Hollywood. And so now instead of usurping you, I'm going to protect you. And that is a very fun energy for me to play. Frustrated, but also you can, Matt can trust him, which I think just allows us to have so much more fun.
And because he's Matt's number two, he's the guy that has to often take it on the chin. He's the one delivering the bad news at all times.
He's the one that has to tell Martin Scorsese, "We're not making your movie, and we killed it." And again, too, I think Sal is a survivor, and he will do whatever it takes as long as he still gets his office.
Something that was also unexpected was Sal and Quinn's dynamic. I can't spoil too much, but I mean, there is a power dynamic there, and yet Quinn really gets under his skin, which I thought was so fun to see.
Yeah, that was a great, really, when I first read that episode, I loved it. I loved the kind of generational rivalry. It was great. And then they cast Chase, who I never worked with, and one of the first days, actually, I think the first day we shot some of the more intense scenes from that episode. And so it was literally one of those things where it's like, oh my God, hey, Chase, nice to meet you. Oh, this is going to be great. And like an hour later, I'm just like, you will never succeed. You missed your chance. And eyes are welling up with tears. And I was like, oh God, I'm a dick. But she is someone who I was really blown away by her. I love when you see new people and you're like, oh, who the hell is this person? And I just thought what she did with that character was so great, where she's so enthusiastic, but she's very underhanded, and is in reality probably doesn't care about identity politics, but has no problem using that to her advantage to screw me over. And just, yeah, I think she was probably everyone's favorite by the time we were done shooting. And that episode is one of my favorites, just because I think that episode will speak to people who are not in their business, because who has not been at their job and had a younger person, say like, you don't know what you're doing, grandma, you know what I mean? Or who hasn't dealt with, the older person who's just telling you, yeah, well, I've been here a long time before you, and I know. So I just think people will find that relatable, hopefully.
And the show is just so visually specific as well. It has like this 70s style of filmmaking, and the color palette just pops. It's also shot in a way that creates like the sense of urgency that the industry has
Mhm.
in and of itself. Of course, I'm thinking of that second episode. How was it to shoot that?
Oof. I mean, when he first told me that they were going to shoot the show this way, where every scene, every scene rather is just one kind of take. I imagine they would do that for a couple episodes and then just kind of stop. For that second episode in particular, it was, oh my God. I was trying my best to not break and not laugh, just because Seth is so funny in that episode. Um, but shooting that way was like it was exhilarating, man. I just every take is like a play. You know, we are so accustomed to doing things, you know, the same way, which is we're going to get the master, and then we're gonna get the this side of it, and then we'll turn around, we'll get you after lunch, and to just be really in the moment, even though to for a director to have the confidence to like the camera is going to move past you and you keep talking even though you will not be on camera for 40 seconds, that's confidence, and it was it just really kept you in the scene more. And I've never done anything like that, but I hope more people start to kind of shoot in this manner, because it just you get such crazy stuff.
And it's everything is in the moment.
Everything is in the moment. Everything, you know, yeah, you're just so in it, and I really do like treasure that. And it's great too. Just it leads to I think like deeper understanding of the characters. You know, if you're just knocking out your coverage, then you're on your phone a little bit. You're just not tuned in as much. And this is like they're really trying to keep everyone on the same page at every moment, which is pretty nice.
And I can't give anything away about the cameos, but like they're so good. And every episode, I'm like, they can't top this, right? They can't top it in comedy. They can't top it in the cameo, and yet they do. So I'm wondering, is there anyone that you saw on the call sheet and you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm acting alongside X?
I mean, I was pretty freaked out for Marty. You know, he's a very important figure in my life, even though I had never met him. So that was one that I was really like nervous for, and I just didn't want to disappoint him. Um, you know, to me, the one so much stuff was kind of in the moment, and there were times where a couple times I forgot people were coming, like in that Golden Globes episode. Like it was crazy. Like I would be doing a scene and like talking to like David Krumholtz, and then like look and be like, "Oh my God, Tony Starr's here. They got Homelander. Wait, what?" You know what I mean? Like it was this crazy embarrassment of riches. Like you're doing your scene and then you realize like, oh yeah, Gene Smart's in the deep background. So it was an embarrassment of riches to have all these people there. I mean, like, yeah, and a lot of people, old friends, like I'd known Adam Scott for a long time, never really worked with him. And then like guys like Rami, like I never met Rami, and I just loved him. And so it was incredible. And I want to see how they up it if we do a season two. Like, who do you get? You know what I mean? Like, how do you top this? It's like, oh, we got William Holden's ghost. You know?
I had no idea that you and Adam Scott were friends. Did he really sleep on your couch? Just have to know.
No, 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 no. But we have just known each other through the years here and there, and always get along when we talk. And to get to kind of spend a couple days at the Beverly Hilton's a pretty fun thing to do.
And I wanted to ask, like, what kind of growth would you like to see if there's a season two? We have seen some of his family life, I will say that.
I would love to. I don't think he will ever change at his job too much. I think he understands what that is. I do think it'd be fun to see a little, like a bit of a relationship side of him. You know what I mean? I don't know what that looks like, but to see a guy who probably got divorced 6 or 7 years ago and has just been like on the apps doing Raya and stuff, to see him in a real relationship with someone who he really likes, I think would be kind of just a fun energy for him.
Well, I really love this show. It's so delightful. And I mean, you guys are getting a season two. It has to. Has to.
Hey, if you know Tim Cook or anyone at Apple, if you could just tell them that they should just do it and pull the trigger so we can just get working now, that would be great.
I'll call him up.
Call Tim. Make sure you use an iPhone, otherwise it won't go through.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
Alrighty,
so
well,
great talking to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
thank you
it.
so much. I really do appreciate your time.